Welcome everyone to another episode of the world's greatest news and reviews.
Giving you opinions about nerd stuff is our superpower.
I'm Captain Mao.
And I'm Weapon 2. And I'm calling you out, Jack Spade. I'm coming for you, brother. I'm challenging you to a 4-way ladder match. You, Ace, and Wild Bill and me, we're getting in the ring, and I'm leaving that ring with the DWL belt. Brother, I'm taking this to your hometown, Dome, Duffy, Georgia. Speaking of hometowns, Stephen and Mel, I've noticed that you've opened a winery in my hometown, Walla Walla, Washington. Knocking Points Winery. And I noticed that you have in the past had a Arrow themed wine, and I noticed now you also have a Jack Spade and a wrestling themed wine. Nice cross endorsements, nice cross promotions. Well played, sir. Okay, that's all I have to say about this. Back to you, Captain Mal.
Longest and dare I say best intro ever. Spoiler alerts, we will be talking about the show Heels, the Starz original series starring Stefan Amell on this episode. Nicely done. I was not expecting you to cut a wrestling promo that puts T-Crawler to shame. Like, was not expecting that at all. But hey, thank you guys for joining us on episode 41. Is that where we are? Where are we?
We're 41.
That sounds about right. We're middle-aged. We're a middle-aged podcast. Thank you for joining us on episode 41. Today in this podcast, we are going to give you our official review for The Last Duel. We're going to give you our official review for Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Spoiler alert, Captain Mal didn't like it. We're going to give you our official review for the What If season finale. And before we do all of that, we're going to tell you what we've been up to. So Weapon 2, first of all, before we do any of that, how the hell are you?
I'm doing all right, Captain Mal. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. Why, do you ask? Are you asking me why?
Yeah, I'm asking you why. Why are you doing great?
I'm doing great for part of the reason that you're doing great. And that is because, as of last night at the date of this recording, we have officially launched our sister YouTube channel, Unsheathed Sword Reviews.
What? Wow.
Did you know that?
I did know that. I did know that. It's big news.
Confirm. It is huge news, actually. If you've been watching this show for a little bit, you know, like, we are also enthusiasts of swords and other edged weapons, things like that. We like things that go slicey slice and cutty cutty. And we have a bunch of stuff, and we want to talk about them. Along with friend of the show, H. Dresden, we have started Unsheathed Sword Reviews. We will link to it in the description of this video. Go check it out. The three of us do reviews and unboxings and talk about all kinds of crazy shit. You can see us cutting stuff with swords, which, you know, you can think that swords and liking all that stuff is the nerdiest thing in the world, and you wouldn't be wrong. I challenge you to cut water bottles or pumpkins or stuff with a sword and tell me it's not the funnest thing you've ever fucking done.
It's some good old-fashioned wholesome fun there, Captain Mal.
It's a good time for the whole family-ish.
It's yes. You gotta be careful. Yeah. They are sharp, very sharp.
I could literally say I've bled for this channel because I have accidentally cut myself on my own swords like a dummy, and I have bled for this channel. But we're super excited. This is the product of a lot of work that the three of us have put into it, and we're really, really happy to finally get that launched. So please go check that out and give us a subscription. But that's why I'm happy, Weapon 2. Why are you happy? Nice. What else do you got going on?
Well, you know, we have this what we call our attempt to continue to increase our subscribership here at the YouTube channel for the world's greatest news and reviews.
It seems like this is an ongoing theme.
It's really ongoing. You know, we're struggling here to get to 300.
We have plateaued.
I mean, I would like to think we're Spartans, but we're probably not Spartans.
No, and we need to up our reps or we need to do something.
So, folks, let me tell you, if you do get us to 300 subscribers on our YouTube channel, we're going to give away another box of fabulous prizes. The prizes will include one of 4 choices of a logo t-shirt for the world's greatest news and reviews. It'll also have a original drawing by me of any character you'd like for me to draw. If you tell us what character you like, we'll also try to put a Funko Pop in there, some comic books that apply to that character if we can find them, and some other toys, gadgets, and whatnots that we can find that are fun and enjoyable. We've thrown notebooks in before with our logo on it and various other things. So those are the kind of things you have to look forward to. What we need you to do to get this is free charge. We're not charging you anything for this. It's free.
This costs us money.
All you have to do is subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'd like for you to, if you like some of our videos, like them, we need you to comment on our most recent podcast with your name, because we randomly draw whoever we're going to, and anybody who's ever subscribed to our channel is in that drawing. And then when we get your name, then we need to contact you to find out where we need to send the stuff and what size shirt you wear and what your favorite character is. So that's basically what's going on with that, Captain Mal.
Yo, I don't know of other podcasters giving free stuff away.
I don't know of any either. Nobody's been giving me anything.
No.
Yeah. But I know we've given 2 boxes out and we're getting ready to give a 3rd.
And all I know is that we're 2 for 2. Both of the winners of those boxes seemed, at the very least, moderately entertained.
They looked like they loved it.
If not, really, really happy.
They looked
very happy.
Ecstatic to me. Yes.
You could actually go check out, if you dig through our old videos, you could check out 2 unboxings that we did for the 100th and 200th subscriber giveaways, where we packed the box and then they opened the box. And good times were had by all. We had a great time doing it. They had a great time winning free shit. 'Cause who doesn't want free stuff? Who doesn't want free stuff? So
do it.
Help us get there, guys. We really want to grow. So
do it.
Do it.
Yep.
All right. Let's talk about some stuff. Let's talk about what we've been up to.
What have you been up to, Captain Mal?
Well, I've been up to a lot, actually. I haven't been watching as much stuff because, like I said, I've been working on Unsheathed Sword Reviews, and that has been taking a lot of my time the last couple of weeks. Just so you know, we launched with 6 videos. We went live, 4 reviews, 2 unboxings. Check it out. Anyway, that's been taking up a lot of my time. But I did start watching the Starz original series, Heels, starring the man, the myth, the legend, Stephen Amell. Now, I'm actually really surprised you watched this when I told you to check it out, because I didn't know you were a wrestling fan back in the day, as most of us are. Like, if you're north of 30, at some point in your life, you watched wrestling. Like, that's just kind of the rule, right?
Yeah.
Like you did. I remember I used to be super into it. I mean, I'm not anymore, but everybody like that's a thing that a lot of people could have nostalgia for. And so this show stars Stephen Amell, and they're in Duffy, Georgia. And he is the owner of the Duffy Wrestling League, DWL.
Yes.
Right? And it's this little tiny indie wrestling organization. His brother is in it, and his dad had it. And so there's a lot. What? You know what? Weapon 2. I'm sorry. My bad. I'm stepping on your toes. Synopsis is your thing. What is this show about?
Well, let me tell you.
There we go.
Let me tell you,
this
Captain
feels
Mal.
right. I don't know about you guys. This feels better. This feels better.
What had happened is...
What happened was...
you have Jack Spade.
That's right.
He is running the Duffy Wrestling League in Duffy, Georgia. He is trying to keep it above board. He's trying to make some money. They're starting to get some crowds in, but they're having problems. It's not all the way there. They're trying to figure out what they're going to do.
Trying to keep the lights on.
His brother Ace is a star.
Who is a douche, by the way.
Yes.
That's not a good person.
But I mean, there's a lot of struggles. There's this other rich guy who's got a bigger wrestling league. He's trying to poach all the talent from Duffy Wrestling League. He has successfully taken some of their stars, but he's trying to get Ace now. He wants to take Ace, and then what happens is Jack.
He had enough.
Stabs him in the back in the middle of a wrestling match. He turns him into a heel, turns him from the face to a heel, and
I mean,
that's devastating.
To be fair, if Homeboy didn't just fucking cry, like he wouldn't have been turned heel. But
yeah, he cried, and it hurt him.
There's no crying in wrestling.
No real crying. You can pretend cry,
fake cry.
But so then there's a lot of shenanigans that happen. I don't want to root for somebody that wants to watch it, but there's a whole bunch of back and forth, whole bunch of stuff going on. It gives a little background and some tragedy with King Spade.
It has some, so with the stuff with their father, it has some really real moments that kind of come out of nowhere because there's moments of the show that are a little ridiculous. Like it never feels ungrounded and it never feels like a story that can't happen in real life, but it does get a little over the top with some of the melodrama.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, like a scene will hit you with their father.
But like wrestling gets a little over the top.
It's almost like that's on
melodrama.
purpose.
Yeah.
But then a scene will hit you with their father and you're like, oh God, that was a piece of shit. Like he's not a good person. And the actor who plays Ace is a great actor because you hate him the entire show.
He's Ironside.
Is he in Vikings?
Yeah,
Okay.
He's a big guy. What's his name?
I didn't watch it that long.
You didn't watch Vikings?
I watched it like 3 seasons.
He's the big son. Is it Bjorg or Bjorn? Bjorn Ironside.
Somewhere listening to this, T. Crawler's screaming because he knows the name.
That's who it was.
If he would just show up to work every now and then, maybe he could be here to tell us the name of that character. Yeah, come to work. So sure, he looks like he'd be on that show, but he's a great actor because you hate him because he's a dude. Like he's a super nice guy as long as he's getting exactly everything that he wants, and if he's not, he's this cruel, just cocky douchebag of a person. But everybody in the show, I think, is really, really good. I think everybody's really likable. The story is super entertaining. And again, if you are an old school wrestling fan, like they have like just a lot of not just nostalgia, but like in jokes, like and like verbiage that they use and like how they talk about old school wrestling. And like it's really kind of a love letter to wrestling fans, especially of old school wrestling and independent wrestling and all that. And I think this was a really good transition for Stefan Amell because he kills it in this role. Like he's really, really good at it. So I binged this in like 3 days. I was surprised with how good it was.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Liked it.
So check that out. Check that out in Stars. 1 season now. I believe it's 8 episodes. Definitely worth your time.
If you like wrestling, watch
wrestling. WCW wrestling. Weapon 2. You've been up to a lot more. So okay, real quick. We both have been watching You. I'm only like 4 episodes in.
I've watched it all.
Okay, so don't spoil anything.
Okay.
I'm really digging it so far.
It's good.
I like the. So if you've caught up to season 3. The kind of swerve that it takes at the very end of season 2 where you can tell it's going against what like the normal format was really, really intriguing. And they're delivering on, at least where I'm at, 4 episodes in, they're delivering on changing things up, but still making it super interesting and super intriguing. So I really, really like it so far.
What's the main character's name? Jack?
Joe
and Love.
I love Love.
In season 3 have shown me that neither one of them is capable of making a good decision. They do nothing but make bad decisions. They make not only bad decisions, the worst decisions possible. Over and over again, they're consistent at it.
Yep.
Yes, that's what I've learned from season 3.
So let me watch the rest of it, and we'll probably talk about it in depth on the next episode, possibly.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because I believe the next episode we are going to talk about Dune. I mean, you can give us some quick initial thoughts here, but no spoilers. But then after this... Mischief Managed is going to, unfortunately, we have lifted her one-time ban, and she's going to come back, talk about Dune, possibly H. Dresden as well. We'll see. Because T. Crowler might come to work. We don't know. We just got to plan. We just got to assume that he's not. So we have to have contingency plans in place. Do you feel bad? You should. But we're going to talk about Dune, but she's also a fan of you. So like that could be like a good conversation to have.
Nice. This is all I'll say about Dune. Dune was good. Basically, they split the book in half, so you only get the first half of the book.
Wow, it's almost like that was a gigantic freaking book that should not have been condensed into one movie.
It really, I had trouble not thinking that it wasn't going to go all the way to the end of the story. So at the end of this movie, I was like, wait a minute. There was so much more I wanted to see. So I guess
because you thought things that you remembered were going to happen.
Yeah. And so it's good leading into a sequel, and the movie was good. I thought it was really interesting. Of course, they have a lot of all the effects and everything that they did was far superior. Everybody in here was an excellent actor.
From the trailer, man, all that looks
great job. So yeah, it was a good movie.
I'm actually at the date of this recording going to watch it tomorrow. So I'm actually really, and I'm going to go get the theatrical experience because that's what you do. I get it that HBO Max it's also there. But some movies to me warrant the theatrical experience. This is one of them. I'm going to go check it out in theaters. All right. Weapon 2, what else have you been up to?
I have watched all of the seasons of Doom Patrol.
Okay.
Which is just an old-fashioned, silly show.
Silly good time.
For me, it's kind of a combination between kind of the Suicide Squad movie type feel and maybe Legion, where there's just all this crazy stuff going on.
Time out on the field real quick. If you guys haven't watched Legion, check that out. That is a really good show. All right.
So it's just a bunch of crazy, funny at times, but just wild stuff going on all the time. Every craziest thing you can imagine that could happen, they're probably doing it in that show. So that was a good show. I also have watched all of the seasons of Warrior. I think there's 3 seasons there.
So, okay, real quick. H. Dresden will not shut the fuck up about this show.
Great. It is friggin' great.
I watched the first episode and it was really, really good. What did you think?
So this is what time period would this be in?
This is late 1800s, I think, or early.
Late 1800s.
It's somewhere in the 1800s.
So it's basically about the time where they're building railroads and they're bringing the Chinese people in to do that type of stuff.
Maybe early 1800s. Hey, so, American education systems.
So early America, we'll put it that way. And it shows the experience of immigrants, Chinese immigrants coming to this country, the type of struggles they had to endure and meet when challenges they had to meet here. And on top of that, it's old-fashioned gangs. So you got a lot of Chinese gangs in Chinatown. This is in San Francisco. And so whole lot of that going on. It's if you like old American timepiece, timepieces and gangs and fighting and gung fu, not kung fu, because the Chinese say gung fu. Okay, and so and catchphrases, and it was basically based on Bruce Lee's writing. A lot of Bruce Lee feel to this. A lot of good martial arts fighting. Good show. The fighting and the choreography in this is excellent. The story's good. The writing's good. The acting's good. There's almost some of these characters almost felt like they're like off a comic book page to me, but it's good.
And you mean that as a compliment, right?
As a compliment, not in a bad way at all. Good way.
Now that I have some free time, I'll try to. I really want to watch it. I saw the first episode and I thought it looked really good, so I need to check that out.
Yeah. What else did I say I watched?
You had another thing. I feel like
I had another thing that I watched.
And you know what? We could talk about it and figure this out as long as we need to. And with the magic of editing, we'll just clip right to you transitioning to knowing what you're talking about. So let's review some stuff, Weapon 2.
All right, let's do it.
Let's start with Marvel's What If. So leading up to this episode, we've kind of talked about the What If episodes as they've happened.
Yes.
I believe the last time we talked about it, we said that my personal favorite episode by a mile was the Doctor Strange episode. You and T. Crawler liked that one as well, and the Zombies episode.
That is correct, sir.
So as the show progressed, it kept... They were doing kind of a cool thing. So I'm going to give my thoughts about the show real quick overall, and then we can talk about the finale because that Warren's talking about, and you could do the same. Overall, I liked it. I thought it was really good. I thought it was really neat. I like that everything's canon, like it's actually in the MCU. I like the animation style quite a bit, actually. I think it's really good looking. The only thing that so some of the episodes and this is kind of clever. They went back and forth between being kind of humorous, comedic, like kind of one-offs, not that important, to like really, really interesting, really powerful, like really, really gripping episodes. The thing that I think the show faltered on is the voice acting, and not in a horribly bad way, but in that they tried to get as much of the actual actors to come back and reprise their roles, and I like that. The thing you kind of realize is
some of them were really good and some of them weren't.
Some of them are not. Voice acting is kind of a
Hemsworth is the best.
Hemsworth is great. Hemsworth was amazing. Yeah. Make him be in everything. And some of the characters didn't come back. Like
Cumberbatch is good.
Cumberbatch. See, he had some moments though where his delivery fell just a little flat.
You know who was really bad?
Who's that?
Was Sebastian
Stan was very bad. He was really bad. He was very not good. Yeah. And Cumberbatch, I felt like was good at times, but particularly the emotional scenes, it felt very hollow to me. Yeah. But then they had some actors, like the actress who played Black Widow and the actress who played Captain Marvel, sounded so similar to Scarlett Johansson and Brie Larson, respectively, that you almost didn't notice. But you're right. So that's my little that kind of took me out of it sometimes, that some of the voice act, I love the fact that so many of the main actors came back. Some of them were not that good in the voice acting. So that said, before we talk about the finale, overall, what did you think of it?
So I liked it. I thought it was cool. Like I've said in the past, I really liked some of the episodes, and some of them were just okay to me. Two things. Now, I liked it, and I like what they did. I also, two things that you said that you really liked, I don't know if I really liked as much, and that was the fact that I kind of maybe feel like I maybe wish that some of them were one-offs and not attached to the MCU, and were just a pure total what-if story. But I don't hate that they did it the way they did either. So.
Real quick, let's explain real quick what we mean by that. So we have the MCU as a whole, meaning that all the movies and all the series and stuff that we have, they're all one connected universe. These stories connect to that, but are alternate universe stories. They don't take place in the same universe that our characters have. Something different happened, and that's what's happening. But the problem is it's all connected in one giant multiverse, which is neat.
And they're all connected together in this series too.
That's what bothered me, actually. So if we're being totally honest, the way the show ends is Ultron gets all the Infinity Stones, and there's an episode
and Vision's body.
But what if Ultron won? And so he gets Vision's body, and then Thanos shows up, and this was my first issue. He just one-shots Thanos,
cuts him in half,
who has all but one of the Infinity Stones. And so I'm just looking at that like, all right,
wow,
like seriously,
wow.
Like, so, okay, whatever. I'll let that go though. And then he gets all the Infinity Stones, right? And so now he has all the Infinity Stones, and that's great. Then all of a sudden he becomes aware that after taking over everything in his universe, becomes aware of the presence of the Watcher. And
my question is, how did Vision get the stone taken away from him and get killed in the first place? If he could just split him in half
so easily,
yeah.
And then he one-shots Thanos.
What if?
But also,
what if this thing happened that didn't happen somewhere else?
Vision with the Infinity Stones seemed crazy overpowered compared to Thanos with the Infinity Stones.
Right.
Until the finale. It's like, the episode before the finale was super cool because he becomes aware of the Watcher's presence, breaks into the multiverse, starts fighting the Watcher, and is doing crazy.
It turns into Battle Watcher.
Dude, he gets
battle armor. What?
Is that a thing? Battle Watcher? That's a thing?
No, I just made it up.
Okay.
No, I've never seen Battle Watcher before, but I saw him there.
But he
gets his battle armor and starts just kicking ass.
You could have sold me that was a thing from the 60s. Like, you could have sold me on Battle Watcher. No, and it's a great sequence, but in it, Ultron is doing crazy shit, like biting galaxies in half. Like he's doing some crazy powerful stuff. And then in the end, in the final episode, we get the Guardians of the Multiverse, where was his name, Uatu? He goes and collects a team to try to stop him, to try to fight this Super Ultron. And here's where it got really annoying to me. He basically assembles all the characters from the previous episodes. Now.
And not even the best.
And not even the best. So, okay. Yeah. So all of a sudden.
It's some real heavy hitters, and then it's like, really, him?
So all of a sudden, we have this character and this Super Ultron that is literally biting galaxies in half. And all of a sudden, he's in a fight with T'Challa, Star-Lord, and Killmonger, and like Thor, sure. But
and you're like, Killmonger, he's gonna do you dirty, and you're picking him. And what do you know?
And again, like Michael B. Jordan,
and maybe that was part of the plan.
And here's the thing: Michael B. Jordan was actually really good. I loved seeing him reprise his role. But again, you look at the team that's going up against the Super Ultron, and even like Thor, I'm like, is he the best version of Thor for this? Because wouldn't you argue that our Thor would be a lot better in this scenario than the dude who just wants to party all the time?
Or maybe more than one Doctor Doom. Maybe get a few. I mean, not Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange.
If
maybe
he's
a few
clearly the OPAF one, I get like 18 of him.
He's the one taking him on all by himself for a while there.
Why are there 6 or 7? It's a multiverse. And so this is the problem. Like, you got to suspend your disbelief a certain amount. But when you're like, this is the best we have of the episodes that we just showed you. So this is where it loses me. It's like,
and then after Uatu fights him a whole show before that for a whole entire episode, then during this he's like, I'm bound out. I can't get involved again.
The title of this episode is The Watcher Breaks His Oath. So why are you not fighting with them? He kind of
breaks parts of his oath. Like gets people, hey, you've been chosen,
and it was
but doesn't do anything.
So on the real, it was just an excuse to have an Avengers moment where you make a collab episode where all the previous characters come together. And don't get me wrong, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. It was fun. I was having a great time. And it was actually very entertaining as it was happening. But it's literally a type of episode where, like, the second it's over, if you give it any more thought, you're just like, well, hang on.
They should have had Ant-Man's head in. That's what they should have. They should have had Ant-Man's head in this one.
Well, and just none of this made sense. And so here's the thing that it really did.
His head could have got really small, and then it could have got really, really, really big.
Here's my biggest point of contention with this finale. It took away from the impact of the Doctor Strange episode.
Yeah.
He did not need a redemption arc. If you just made that story end where it ended in that episode, and it was just super horribly tragic about a good person doing bad things for what he believed was the right reason, that's horrible, but it makes sense and it resonates. But it's Marvel, so we can't just end shit like that. So he has to have a redemption arc. And yeah, he's the most OP character in this show for some reason. But it completely undercuts the emotional gravity of that episode.
Because he's absorbed all those creatures.
But all of a sudden...
all those magical creatures,
but now
bro.
That you know this
for
happens,
centuries.
That episode doesn't have the weight anymore.
I hear you.
And that's the tragedy. Because you almost stuck the landing. Because that was a fucking emotional, like, heartbreaker. And I loved it. Hurt me. Please. What does that say about me?
I'll watch any show with Party Thor in it, though. I'll tell you that. With his new science, his new science tattoo.
Do you think that was funny? No, but do you think that this takes away from that Doctor Strange episode? Because I think it really takes away from it.
Yes,
like a lot, kind of.
But bro,
like it bugs me.
It bugs me, brah. It's just a fun show to watch, and so I hear what you're saying, but you gotta let it go.
No, I'm not letting it go. I have an entire podcast designed to
Party Thor.
Had Party Thor. Let things go.
That guy knows how to party.
Nay.
And he is not a party pooper. I'll just tell you that.
That was dumb. See, I didn't even like that episode. That was dumb to me. That was the most skippable episode next to Hank Pym just murdering all the Avengers. That was stupid also.
I'll have to say, I liked Party Thor. I liked it.
I want to party with him, bro. Anyway, so as
the Watcher's trying to tell him he's chosen, and he just keeps talking.
As a whole,
that guy.
I don't like Thor being a big dummy like that. And I know that's actually more accurate to like the real like Nordic version of Thor. But
yeah, he's not the sharpest
smart.
tool in the shed.
He's not smart. Thor's a big dummy.
He swings a hammer.
Yeah,
it's not sharp.
Okay, here's the deal. My umbrage aside, it is a fun show. It's definitely worth watching. There's lots of really good episodes. And the finale, despite my issues, is still really fun and really epic feeling. And it's a good show. It's a good show. It could have been a great show. I would have gone away with the whole tying it together thing and just made them all one shots.
I would have liked them to be just one shots completely out. I wish they would have really stretched the boundaries of what we think could be the craziest thing they could come up with and just did one shot.
Because if it's a one shot, it doesn't matter. If it's not going to affect anything else. But to tie it together, like then you're shackling yourself with the same restraints the MCU has all of a sudden.
I mean, in one What If comic book, Aunt May became the Herald of Galactus. Anything can happen in those, man.
Are you messing with me?
I'm telling you the truth.
Is this like Battle Watcher? Is this another Battle Watcher moment?
No.
That actually happened?
Aunt May became the Herald of Galactus.
That's dope.
That happened. Yes.
Okay. I want to read that now.
Happened cool. There's been a lot of crazy things.
Recommend or not recommend?
I say I recommend. Geez, don't overthink it. Don't get emotional and get tied up in it. Just watch it for fun, and it's fun.
Personally attacked.
That's what I say. That's my advice.
All right, so watch it. Check it out. Venom, Let There Be Carnage. So,
tell me what that was like.
So, Weapon 2. This will tell you everything about this movie you need to know. Weapon 2 couldn't make it to the theater in time to watch this movie. Weapon 2? Are you horribly disappointed by that fact?
No, I'm not. I mean, I probably could. If I had to fit it in there, I probably could have done it. I'm not disappointed that I didn't.
Yeah. So, here's the deal. Let me tell you about this movie. I feel like what you think of this movie is going to really depend on what you thought of the first one. Because I know smart people I respect, that didn't mind the first one, like, at all. And that's fine. That's fine. It's fine, isn't it? I hated everything about that movie. Like, the only things about that first movie I really liked is Tom Hardy is just an amazing actor. And I thought when it was just him and the symbiote interacting together, it was fine. My biggest issue is I had to get over the fact that it's a Venom origin story without Spider-Man. That bothered me. And just everything about that movie was so incredibly boring. The main villain was boring. He had no emotional connection or like chemistry with his love interest. Nothing about it interested me. Venom did look cool. But some of the humor with the symbiote and the way it would talk to him and all that was really dumb, for lack of a better word. It was not funny. A lot of the humor didn't land with me. And here's the problem. With Venom Let There Be Carnage, literally everything I didn't like about the first movie, they doubled down on. There is more ridiculous, nonsensical humor between the symbiote and him. That's really just time filler. And so you have the story of he's interviewing Cletus Cassidy, which, by the way, in the comics is an amazing character. Carnage is awesome. So let's not get this twisted. Part of the reason I'm so mad about this movie, I love Venom. I really, really like Carnage. I like the whole symbiote story. I like that they're freaking aliens. I like the whole planet thing. I like the freaking symbiote god and all that. Like all that stuff that happened is super fucking cool. And how it ties into Spider-Man and Maximum Carnage. That would be an amazing movie. But I'm never going to get that, am I? I'm never going to get it. And it's fine. I can't have nice things. So Woody Harrelson is fine as Cletus Cassidy, but he's playing a cartoon character. He's playing like this comical version of the character, which is fine. Also, why is this not rated R? Like, for real. And not that being rated R makes every movie better, but Deadpool, Logan, things like Blade, characters that have a darker tone to them should be rated R because it lends itself to like the violence and like just the nature of what those characters are.
The Suicide Squad was so much better because it was rated R. I want to see Venom bite a guy in half.
And
that's
not just
what I want to
but
see.
like the language. So like in the Suicide Squad, they're dropping F-bombs left and right, and not that cursing makes anything better, but when it's characters that I believe,
it can make it fun.
But I believe that's the way they would talk, and then when all of a sudden they're like, "I'm gonna kick your butt," and like that is not what Harley Quinn would say. Like it just doesn't make sense to me. So yeah, they have to do the PG-13 violence, which is ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. And so this whole movie is building to the fight between Carnage. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, if you can't read the cups, I'm Harvey.
I'm T-Crawler.
And if you know, you know, don't you?
T-Crawler made a showing.
He showed up!
Yes.
Lol, did he though? So here's the thing. They're building to the fight between Carnage and Venom. And I'll say, like, Carnage does look cool. But then how they get there and the reason Carnage's girlfriend turns on him makes no sense. Like, he breaks her out of this prison and he's just murdering all the people, all the cops. They're cruising around in like a 66 Mustang, which props, and just like murdering everybody. And then out of nowhere in the finale, they're murdering all the people and she's like, "It's too much." And I'm like, too much of what he's doing, and he's not even being like really bad at it, right? Like he's doing the thing that you've been doing this whole movie, and it's because she has like the supersonic scream power, like Banshee, and that hurts him. And so we needed a bullshit reason for her to do that to get the symbiote off him in order for Venom to fight it.
Okay.
It made zero sense. And here's the issue with this movie. When there's actually a plot in the movie, when it's actually moving, it's adequate at best, but at least it's a movie. The stuff in between, because it was only an hour and 37 minutes. That's not a long movie by today's standards.
Right.
It felt like 3 freaking hours. Because in between, there's just this stupid drama between Venom and Eddie that didn't need to be there. There's this stupid drama where Venom leaves him and he's off just doing his thing. And we're supposed to find this comical and funny, except the fact that the symbiote can't exist on anybody except Eddie. So he's literally just Venom, the thing we're supposed to be cheering for, is just murdering people.
Oozing around?
No, like he'll attach to somebody, and then after like a day, they die, and he's like, on to the next one. And then he's like at some weird rave partying, and we're cheering, and it's the most awkward dialogue I've ever heard.
Why can't a symbiote be on another person? I've seen the symbiote be on all kinds of people.
It can bond with anybody. It doesn't make sense.
Yes.
None of this makes sense.
Okay.
But the problem is, I realized it in the finale, and this is the problem. This is why I was so bored. Aside from, again, the humor is not funny. There was quite literally nobody in this movie I liked. I didn't care about Eddie Brock. I didn't care about the Venom symbiote. I didn't care about his girlfriend. I didn't care about Cassidy. I didn't give a shit about any of the characters that was on screen. So then if I'm not emotionally invested, I don't care how cool the fight is, because I'll give it, like, the actual fight between Venom and Carnage aesthetically looked cool. But if I don't give a shit about who wins, I'm not there. I'm not in it at all. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, I'm being a little more, like, probably, like, I wish you had seen it, because maybe you could counter it with, like, oh, you know, it wasn't that bad. But I feel like you would agree with me, for being totally honest.
Yeah, I mean, I'm less hard on movies than you are overall in general, but
you tend to agree with me more often than not. You're just less angry about it.
Yes, I agree with what you're saying, and it's probably going to make a bunch of money though, anyways.
So let's talk about the post-credit scene real quick.
TV licking? Is that what we're talking about? The TV licking?
The what?
The television licking?
Yes.
Yes.
So did you see this?
Oh, I saw.
Yeah.
If you are a fan of any of this stuff and you haven't seen the last season, you don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's we see the universe shift. Presumably that's going to happen in Spider-Man No Way Home, because he's in a hotel room, and then the hotel room changes, and the thing he's watching on TV changes, and it's J. Jonah Jameson talking about Peter Parker's Spider-Man, and it's Tom Holland, and then Venom just like gets up and licks the TV, and you're like, that's a 16-year-old child. That's weird. Hero of the movie I just watched.
But he's a symbiote. You don't. So I mean, I don't know how that works out. Does it apply?
No
matter?
No to all of it.
Okay, all right.
No more of this. I don't care. You know what we forgot to talk about? The DC fandom trailers. That's what we're going to talk about.
Oh, yeah. And I also remember the thing that I was watching Another Life. That was the other thing I was watching.
What? We don't got to do things in order, because this is our show.
No, I don't order.
It's not like I have a producer behind me in my ear saying, do stuff like this. No.
And Another Life is just basically got it's got Starbuck from
Hang on. I like how you just started, like, if I didn't lose it laughing, I really could have just cut that. That's what you were going for.
Yeah.
My bad. I ruined the experience.
So, Starbuck from Battlestar Galactica and many other stars are in this, and it's basically a space sci-fi thriller, and they experience life from other planets. 2 seasons of it. It's pretty good. I'm not going to rave. I'm not going to say it's the best ever, but there's some overacting, in my opinion.
Like Shatner bad, or
Nah, the Starbuck, I can't remember the actor's name, and then her husband seemed to overact a little bit in this. But if you're a fan of hers from Battlestar Galactica, then it's probably not going to bother you. I think the husband was a little more overacty. I might be picking it apart. It's just a fine story. It's kind of cool. It does have some Star Trek vibes, because they're traveling to other planets and encountering some other alien life. It's just, if you're into sci-fi and you like sci-fi shows, it's a good sci-fi show. That's all I got to say. Yeah. And then we need to talk about these fandoms.
Well, let's end on the fandom, since we're already in the reviews. Let's just talk about.
Well, we're gonna talk about The Last Duel, bro.
That is gonna be a downer, isn't it? Yeah. All right. Let's talk about DC fandom real quick. So DC fandom happened. That was a thing. Yeah. And a bunch of trailers dropped. Well, trailers and some kind of like first looks. All right. So let's get it out of the way. Let's talk about the Batman. That was an actual full trailer that released. That's gonna come out in March of next year. What do you think? Looks
like a really good movie, surprisingly.
Right?
Really good. Of all the movies, I'm the most excited about that one, I think.
So the first teaser last year that we got kind of did it, but this one just reemphasized what I'm going to do now. And if you've watched this show, understand what I mean when I say this. I'm allowing myself to just be excited.
Yeah.
I'm allowing myself to just be like, dude, that looks dope. Mm-hmm. Like, that looks like the dark, gritty detective story Batman I've always kind of wanted, but never really, like, we always get elements of that in the other movies. This looks like it's legitimately a noir detective story. I love the tone. I love the music they're using in the trailers, but I love the aesthetic, like, visually. I love the color palette, like everything about it's winning. Except I have to watch the movie. I'm still not sold on Pattinson.
Yeah.
But everything I see so far doesn't look bad. There are a couple moments that some of his deliveries, like his line delivery in the trailer, were a little over the top, but it's Batman, so it's fine.
Right.
I keep forgetting Colin Farrell's in this movie. Catwoman looks great. The Riddler, which again in this version, a dark, menacing, version, could be a really, really cool character to mess with Batman psychologically. And Andy Serkis as Alfred, like quite literally, there's almost nothing about this trailer I could be like, that doesn't work for me. Like,
right.
Even like, I love the brutality that he's displaying.
Yep.
I like him talking about the bat symbol not just being like it's a warning. Like quite literally everything about it kind of worked for me, and I'm officially just like, you know what? I'm a Batman fan, and I'm just gonna be excited this movie's coming out, and I want to watch it, and I don't want it to be bad just to be able to talk crap about it. I want it to be good. I want to like this.
Yeah.
And
so do I.
And I hope it ties into the greater DC multiverse somehow, because we also saw not a teaser, but kind of a little tiny sneak peek about The Flash.
Yes.
Starring Ezra Miller.
And there's some teasers that are pretty exciting about it.
There's a lot that's good. So if you've been following this, we know that it's a Flash solo movie. Kind of going to be loosely based on Flashpoint, which my initial issue with that is you're going to give me a universe rebuilding events before we've gotten a Flash movie, before we've gotten Reverse Flash, anything. It seems kind of out of order. Until Elseworlds happened on the CW, and now every DC property is a connected multiverse. What that allows us to do is things like Ben Affleck's Batman. There's been footage, like screenshots, basically, production shots of him riding around on the Batpod in this movie. Now, it's probably not Affleck, it's just a dude in that suit, but it's that version of Batman. The biggest thing is Michael Keaton is reprising his role as Batman. Now,
that's correct.
You can say what you will about those movies, because quite frankly, if we're being totally honest, and I challenge you to look into yourself and be honest, they have not aged well. Even the Burton ones, the ones that he were in, especially number 2, Batman Returns, that is a weird freaking movie.
To a certain age group, that is their Batman.
But that's what I'm saying.
Just like Adam West is my Batman.
And here's the thing.
A certain group,
so
that's their Batman.
You guys know me. I love Affleck. I think Batfleck is the best Batman. I love the Dark Knight trilogy. I think those are the best Batman movies, even though they're not like the definitive Batman story to me. I grew up on Michael Keaton's Batman. I had all of those toys. I had the onesie pajamas. I am a mark for Michael Keaton's Batman. And I've said this entire time. The second you give me a shot of him in that suit, I am going to fangirl out with no shame. I'm going to be a 13-year-old girl at an NSYNC concert in 2001. I'm going to lose my mind. And and this trailer walks right up to that line, because it opens with a monologue, a narration from Michael Keaton. And we see Barry walking into the mansion, and it ends with a shot of him in the cowl, and you only see it from the back, slightly walking onto frame.
Right.
And you're just like, and that was enough for me. Like, I was tweaking out. And then again, like Barry is there, and you see the car covered, and you know it's the '89 Batmobile. And he pulls a sheet off, and then it cuts. And I'm like, why are you messing with my emotions? Why do I care this much? It's ridiculous. And in that shot, we also see 2 Barry Allens. We also see Supergirl. There's so much going on in this movie. And again, the way that I kind of hope that in Spider-Man Far From Home, they're just showing us tip of the iceberg. I actually legitimately hope they're saving surprises for us.
Right. They have to be.
I hope there's got to
be more going on.
Everything in the trailers. I hope they give me tip, because like that's what Endgame did. They gave you tip. Like, you thought we saw the first 20 minutes of that movie in the trailers, and then it just went batshit insane. That's what I want from this. And so, not just that, but they are incorporating Flashpoint storyline elements into it, where he's going back in time. He's trying to save his mom. Like, you see all of that in there, which is a really touching story. So that alone could carry the movie. So I'm very, very excited about it. Sorry, I've been rambling. What do you think?
I think it's going to be good. I'm excited about it. I agree with you. That's what I think, man. Everything you said and more. I can't wait. I think there's a whole bunch more they're not showing us, and I think it's going to be great.
And so I don't know if they're going to do a connection, because again, if we're setting a multiverse, man, like you could do a connection. Like, so we're talking about tip of the iceberg. You can get Pattinson's Batman and Michael Keaton's Batman,
I think
and you
there's
can
going
get
to be
Affleck.
more Batman.
You could do all of that.
I think there's going to be more Flashes.
Yes.
we saw. I think there's going to be more
Get
everything.
Grant Gustafson.
Yes.
Do it. Get Stefan Amel's Arrow. Get Jack Spade. Like, bring them all.
Bring Jack Spade.
The DWL title belt. Do it.
Battle Royale. That's right.
But it's very, very exciting. It's an exciting time to be a DC fan. Also, Black Adam. Holy crap. The Rock.
Yes. That's finally, this is coming around.
Can confirm, can rap. That's impressive. Tech 9.
Finally. I mean, he had, he did a good job in that one song. You're right about that.
Okay. Passion project of The Rock, which is exciting. Because you can tell he genuinely gives a shit. He wants this to be good. We got a first glimpse. It's really just him talking, and then we see
kind of the opening scene or something like that.
It looks to be the first appearance of Black Adam, and it's really, really quick, and it doesn't show a whole lot. But it does show the fact that they're gonna give us a really OP Black Adam, which is cool because in the comics, like, he hangs with Superman in fight. He's actually like murked Superman a couple times. So really cool. And as like, you only get a quick shot of it, but then like some photos leaked, production photos of The Rock in the costume, and that looks
spoiler. Superman is susceptible to
magic. And once Black Adam figures that out, that's not much of a fight at all. But some production shots have leaked of The Rock in full costume, and if I could find them, I'll put them up. And you know what? You have it in your head, like, how good that can look, and then you see it, and you're like, that's exactly what I wanted that to look like. Like, nice. It looks dope. And I almost said something when I was going to post the picture, but then I couldn't find it. It was him in the suit, just looking jacked as hell. And I don't know if you guys have watched this show before, but there was a funny conversation we had when Shazam was coming out about how the suit was muscled, and T. Crawler he's like, no, fucking, he's working out, man.
Natural, man. He's working out.
And it's like, dude, his arms are this big. No, but it's The Rock, so he kind of looks that big anyway.
Right.
So I'm like, that's probably latex, right, T. Crawler? Like, that's not a muscled suit at all. It totally is.
Yeah.
But this looks cool, and I like, again, the direction that they're taking with this, and the story of Black Adam. If you know anything about him, really interesting character.
Yeah.
Like, really cool character, which also ties into, partially, Shazam, when we got a sneak peek for Shazam, Fury of the Gods.
Looks like they stepped up production.
It looks like they got a bigger budget.
And their costumes, bigger budget.
They got more money.
Looks good.
All of their costumes look infinitely better.
Yep. Hopefully the story's good.
The problem is, I didn't really care that much for that first movie.
I didn't really care about the goddesses coming. Yeah. They didn't look. They kind of.
Do it. Just say it.
It's kind of older ladies, and so for me, I mean, and I'm not trying to be ageist. I'm not trying to say. I mean, I guess if they were like younger ladies, it would be more. Well, it just didn't feel.
It didn't work for
like they're gonna hold up against the entire team of the Shazam family.
Well, like, why is Wonder Woman,
super team?
Wonder Woman's 5,000 years old. Why does she look 30? Like,
I just don't know. I guess I'm just not feeling that part of it. I hope that I'm just going to be proven wrong, and it's going to be absolutely great.
If we're being honest, I wasn't really feeling it. Like, nothing, even though I will say it looked better, the production quality looked better, all these things, right? I'm not saying nothing about that looked bad. It did nothing for me in terms of excitement. Yeah. And it's just because I kind of was very lukewarm on that first movie. Now, I'm hoping it's good. I will be there day one-ish to watch it. I want, and I hope it's good. I want to like it, and I want all that. But just that was of everything DC fandom came out with, the thing that excited me the least. In fact, because it didn't excite me like at all.
I'll have to agree with you on that point, Captain Mal.
Oh, thank you, Weapon 2.
Yeah, because I'm feeling a little bit the same way.
But as a whole, in terms of level of excitement, the weird thing is that I thought for sure I would be the most excited about The Flash. And maybe if you showed me Michael Keaton in the suit, I would, lose it a bit more.
Right.
My big takeaway was how excited I am for the Batman. Like, that looks good.
As
dude.
Much as I was, well, here's the thing. We were ambivalent about Ben Affleck being Batman initially too.
No, we were. I was not. I was arguing that he was going to be the best Batman ever.
Okay,
go roll the footage. Okay, I was always on board with that.
That might be true.
No, it is true.
I think that I was. You
were ambivalent,
maybe a little bit. But I have to tell you, I have to agree. I think that he's my favorite Batman.
And like the most comic accurate.
And so that being said, I think we can all agree we were worried about this Batman.
Oh, I wasn't just worried. I was mad. I was angry. I was to be fair, I was talking a lot of trash. I was not happy about this.
I think they're going to turn this into a good movie.
I want to be wrong. Like, okay, I feel like people think I just want to hate. I don't want to hate things.
Right.
I want to like this stuff. I just have a very specific idea of like what this should be, and when you do something that's so radically against what the character is, I hate it. But this, you know what, dude, I'll say when I'm wrong, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope this is as good as it looks.
I think it's gonna be.
I hope so.
I think it's gonna be.
All right, so that was DC fandom. Let's wrap up with a pretty rough movie. And by rough, I don't mean bad. I mean, it was a rough movie. The Last Duel came out. And this is a medieval time period movie starring Matt Damon.
1380s when this took place.
Late 14th century. So we have Matt Damon, my boy Ben Affleck, who I did not know was in this movie. And it took me until the second scene. I was like, is that Ben Affleck? I was like, that's not fucking Ben Affleck. Yeah. And then someone was like, oh, that's totally Ben Affleck. Adam Driver. And then who is the main girl? Is it Winona Ryder? Is that the main?
I think that's her name.
That looked like her. Oh. So great cast.
Yes.
And a rough story, if we will. So, Weapon 2, synopsis, brah.
So, it's depressing subject matter and a rough story.
There's no good way to talk about it.
But, in my opinion,
it was a good movie.
Excellent movie.
I was like, you liked it?
I loved everything about the storytelling and the battle scenes especially.
Okay. So, I have one nitpick in terms of the story.
Okay.
But overall, really, really liked it. So, okay, go ahead. Give us a synopsis real quick, and then we'll dive into that.
So, in this movie, you have Jean de Courage.
I really liked all their names in this. Jean de Courage.
Who was played by Mullet Damon.
Matt Damon. Bringing the mullet back.
Badass mullet.
Dude.
Nice.
Homeboy could fight, though.
Yes. And he got married. Well, so... Should I do a whole synopsis here? So anyways...
Do a whole synopsis, and then we'll dive into it.
So him and Jacques Legris...
How do you remember these names?
I don't know. Sometimes I can't remember anybody's names. For some reason, I remember these. I like historical...
You can't remember Steve, but you remember Jacques Legris.
Yeah, I hear you.
What is that about?
I don't know. They're best of friends, okay? They've been in a lot of battles together. Fought side by side.
Fighting for the English king.
And then, so then after a period of time, a certain Count Pierre, played by Ben Affleck, starts getting a little more fond of Kylo Ren, and so he starts.
Okay. From now on. We got Kylo Ren, we got Batfleck, and Jason Bourne. That's who's in this movie.
So,
just so I could talk about him too.
So Batfleck starts becoming more fond of Kylo Ren, and he starts giving him favors in that, and
like lands and titles he wasn't like owed by
right. But here's why, because Kylo Ren comes in and goes, dude, you have a lot of money owed to you. Yeah. Why don't you let me go around and collect it all so you can have a bunch of money?
So like Batfleck isn't so okay. So like Kylo Ren and Jason Bourne, I love this by the way. Right. They're not they're like kind of lower to mid-level lords. Like they're squires initially, but like they have some lands and titles a little bit. Yeah. So
I didn't know that squire was such a high title.
Man. I didn't think so either.
Yeah, and this happens in France, so this is France.
Yeah. Yeah. But so Batfleck is like basically a liege lord of an entire area. Still reports to the king, but he's their liege lord. And you're right, he's not that good at it. He's more about just like hoeing it up.
He's a count.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he's more about hoeing it up and just partying. And I loved how Kylo Ren
goes. He's a party animal.
Goes to his chambers.
Him and Kylo Ren know how to party.
And Batfleck opens the door and there's like 3 women on his bed. He's like, hey, take your pants off. I don't His delivery of that line was so funny.
My name is Batfleck and I like to party. That's all I wanted everybody to know.
But you're right. But Kylo Ren is just like, dude, like people owe you money. Like let me go, like be your guy. Like I'll get the money for you.
He's crunching numbers, got the abacuses. But to be fair,
so he's kind of a dick and a little subservient. Yeah. But he's also right in that, dude, you might have to like build an army. You might have to call an army at any given time.
He's a good businessman.
Your accounts have to be in order.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, he's not wrong about that.
So he comes to do all that stuff.
Jason Bourne is kind of a dick.
However, what he does is, what's the first thing he does? He gets when Jason Bourne's father dies, he's supposed to become the captain
of his house, basically.
of this house, which is a very high title. And
which by rights should have been
so
his.
what happened was Ben Batfleck gave it to Kylo Ren.
But if we're being fair, so Jason Bourne, while was right in this scenario, he's kind of a dick. And so there's many times
he's
where
kind of a dick, but he's loyal to the crown.
But
he's loyal, and he goes to battle every single time.
But he also doesn't know how to play politics.
And he doesn't follow orders very well. I remember when he broke the orders right at the very beginning? Yeah.
And so he does a lot. Like if he
lost that battle. He lost the bridge. He wasn't supposed to do that.
Yeah. And so again, like you're going to get punished for that.
Yeah. So that's what happened.
But they directly give things that were owed to him to Kylo Ren.
And then...
Oh, we're not even in the bad stuff yet.
Yeah, and so then Jason Bourne marries Marguerite de Courage.
Winona Ryder, what's she been in? What could we call her?
I don't know. I'm just going to call her Margaret.
I'll think of something.
Her name's Marguerite.
What was her name in Stranger Things?
I can't remember.
Well, damn it. All right, go ahead.
Anyway,
Marguerite.
So Margaret marries Jason Bourne, and part of her dowry is his awesome piece of land that he insists that he gets, and he's supposed to get it. Batfleck, or no, not Batfleck, Kylo Ren goes and he makes the father of the bride give up that land because he owes the money to the count.
Right.
But do
people know what a dowry is?
Dowry is, in the olden times, if you married the daughter, you got prizes. And one of the prizes that he was going to get, instead of like some goats or something, was a big piece of land. Yeah. And so he gets cheated out of his title. He gets cheated out of his land. And he is the one who's still going to war when all these fancy boys decided they just want to stay back and count money and party. And so he's a little upset about this now.
Justifiably so.
He goes to war in Scotland where he becomes a knight. Now he's got an awesome title. So Jason Bourne becomes a knight now. And then he comes back and he gets mad because Kylo Ren won't address him as sir. And he is a knight now. This is the third time you've said my name without addressing me as sir. There will not be a third time.
So real quick, before you continue with the story, we should kind of address how they address time in the movie and how they tell the story. We don't have to go into details of how the movie ends just yet, but I feel like it's relevant to the story that you're telling. The way this movie takes place is you see essentially the same events, the same instances, 3 different times.
Right. So
the first time
we're going through time. Well, so yes. So basically, the first time you're seeing this through Jason Bourne's eyes.
Then the next time.
So it sets up this entire story where they fill in most of the meat of the story is filled in this first time.
Right.
One of the things I really liked about the storytelling is you see it through 3 different people's eyes. The second time you see it through Kylo Ren's eyes, and he kind of fills in some more spots that Jason Bourne wasn't privy to. Right. Plus, one of the things I liked is throughout this thing, you get to see where sometimes 2 different people saw the same thing happen differently, and sometimes all 3 saw it happen differently.
And so this is where the movie was clever, because this is a tricky thing for a movie to do well, to go back and show you the same thing. Because the thing that kind of annoyed me initially was right when the movie kind of started getting good in the first story, then it takes you back to the opening scene. You're like, no, I want to see what the hell that was happening. And then, so we do see some of the same events, and the things that was cool, dialogue is different, actions are
I loved it. I thought it was excellent storytelling.
It's the other person's perspective.
Because you never see a movie like that. No. You always see a movie, this is laid out, and this is where, people see things differently.
And you can see the different perspectives. Yeah. And then, like we heard in the first version of the story, we hear what Jason Bourne says that Kylo Ren did. Yeah. And then in this version, we see what Kylo Ren is doing and what his perception of Jason Bourne is. And we see how they're so radically different. But then we see the third version, which is Winona Ryder's, a.k.a. The Truth.
Yes. And so
that just needs to be clear real quick, because that's actually relevant to your perception of things moving throughout this.
So this all leads up to where Jason Bourne has to go after his battle in Scotland. He has to go to Paris to be paid because the king owes him. This little fancy boy king who just is like the most obnoxious man-child you've ever seen. Yeah. He's just a teenage king who is just weak, frail, and obnoxious.
Which, you know, it's annoying when like you watch a movie like this, you're like, that was most of the time.
Yeah.
You know?
And so he just wants to see stuff that he thinks is going to be fun. And anyway, so Jason Bourne goes to get paid, and while he's gone, there is an incident where his wife is raped by Kylo Ren. This is tough to watch, especially her version of it, because when Kylo Ren's version comes through, he paints it as she was just playing kind of hard to get,
right?
And then you see from her point of view that she was brutally raped.
So that's where this movie went from like really good to exceptional to me.
Yeah,
because they've shown how it's different characters' perspectives, and we see how Kylo Ren during his story sees Winona Ryder like hard flirting with him, and then we see in her version that she's doing that to like, that's better to do that in a way to manipulate him than to like just be really aggressive in his face. She's doing it to like help her husband and help her family and all that. So again, you see two different point of views of the same incident happening, and you're right. And this is the thing that I thought was really good in the movie, is that his version of the incident, it's really her kind of wanting it. And he even says it after when he's talking to Batfleck about it, how he's just like, well, yeah, of course she said no. She's a proper lady. She had to do that. And just little things like her taking her shoes off first, her kind of half-heartedly fighting, and all that kind of stuff. To his perspective, she wanted it. And then you see her version, and it's horrible.
Yeah.
It's brutal. It's uncomfortable. Nothing about it is okay. And moving forward, and the thing that I really liked, and we'll talk about this a little bit when we're talking about the fighting and how it ends, even at the very end, Kylo Ren believed he didn't rape her.
Yep.
And that's so fucking horrible.
Yeah.
Anyway, so continue telling.
But here's the thing. You don't really know. You feel like maybe he thinks he is. He didn't, but then I don't really know.
So here's
for sure.
So here's the only reason that I'm going with he did. And I didn't catch it when I read the title. The very end, so as it resets and tells the next person's story, the story as what happened by this character, as what happened by this character. At the very end, it's like the story as what happened by Winona Ryder, and then underneath it said the truth.
Yeah.
I didn't see that part. So
right.
If I'm taking that for its word, then this is what really happened.
Yeah. So basically what happens is Jason Bourne knows and Margaret know that they're going to be dismissed by Count Batfleck.
Right. So like she wants to report it. She wants this, which in its own right, this is what's horrible about medieval times. Like freaking Jason Bourne could have legally just killed her. He legally could have, like, he didn't believe her at first, starts choking her out. Did you want, like, all that kind of stuff, right?
Which is weird because by his version of what happened, he didn't do any of that. Her version of what happened,
and so that's what's horrible too.
His version is he questioned her. Did this really happen? Are you being honest with me?
Yeah.
In her version, he takes
hand
her
on the throat.
Yeah.
Like it's Jesus, dude.
It's bad.
But there's a couple moments like that too, where he's like, "This is let me provide for you," and he's like, "Don't be sad, don't be sad." And he's like,
"But the most remarkable thing is there's all kinds of things that they see as different.
Yes,
for each one of them when they're telling their
from a storytelling
story.
standpoint, that's where this movie really excels. Is it? But so my little nitpick about this though is that it does take a while to get going because that first version of the story is so long and kind of slow because it's doing a lot of character stuff. By the first reset's kind of rough because you're like, oh my god, we got to watch all that again. But then again, it doesn't show all the same scenes and it shows things differently. I will say that Kylo Ren's bit, there were some moments in that we didn't completely need that you could have cut out for the story just to move a little faster. As it stands, though, fantastic. I love the idea that they were going for, and I think they landed 85% of it. I think it was very effective.
I think that you're right. When they went back to where it was going, I go, am I going to have to watch this whole thing over again?
I don't want to do that.
I like that they just filled in things.
Yeah, and then they skipped some because again, we're seeing what he saw, and he didn't necessarily see all the things the other guy saw. So like that was cool.
And I was going to say that there was slow parts in it, but when I go back to look at it, I think that I really enjoyed all of the storytelling that was going on there.
Yeah, I feel like there are some things you probably could cut out.
Even some of the nuanced stuff for me, I think that I think that hindsight, I think that I liked it more than when initially I was. At first, I was like, man, I think that there was some parts that dragged more. And the more I thought about it, the more I appreciated some of the stuff.
And so here's my thing. if like pressed, if you tried to be like, okay, so you cut out what you think would make this movie flow better, I don't know that I would actually cut anything out, which is kind of sounds like a contradiction, but hear me out. You and I can enjoy more nuanced, slower storytelling, as evident by the first few episodes of WandaVision that we loved, that everybody was freaking out about, right?
Yeah.
So while this worked for us, I feel like a general audience would have a harder time getting into this.
Maybe.
Even though I was really into it the entire time. It sounds like you were engrossed.
Yeah.
I feel like there are some moments that you kind of don't completely need, that you could get rid of to make it flow better. But as it stands, I really, really loved it. So I don't think you need to cut anything, but you could if you had to. That's all I'm saying. And by the way, minorest of nitpicks. I loved this movie. So,
right.
Okay.
And so it goes back to where, of course, Count Batfleck dismisses the whole thing and says nothing happened. And so
Count Batfleck, I dig it.
Jason Bourne takes it straight to Fancy Boy King, Charles IX, I believe is who that was.
Which, by the way, there's only one way for him to be able to do that.
What's that?
There's only one way that he could do that, though.
And how's that?
Trial by combat.
Yes. And he takes it there. He says he wants to do battle to the death. A duel. At first they say that's outlawed, and they say no, bro. Sorry, just hasn't happened in a while. It's still on the books. Right. And so he lays the glove on the ground. Says, and there was a whole. I just want to go back and say there was a whole bunch of cool battle scenes.
Yeah, real quick. Let's talk about that. So, as a nerd with a sword channel now. There's things that I really like about movies like this that they get right. And one of the things I got right was during Jason Bourne's initial run through when he's in that first battle. The combat that he is doing, he's half swording. Yeah. He is using the murder stroke with that long sword. Like, they did a lot. Like,
and it's gritty and dirty and muddy.
It doesn't look pretty. Bloody. It doesn't look flashy. It looks horrible. And there's lots of knights in full plate armor wrestling around, just stabbing each other in the throat, which that's how most of those fights went. Like, nothing about it looked romantic.
Yeah, I mean,
songs were sung about. It looked fucking horrible.
I mean, it would be real. They're not like fencing with each other. They're rolling on the ground trying to kill each other.
And even if you don't have anything in your hands, like bashing with your fit, he got the chainmail wrapped around. Right. Just be like, I was like, that's what that shit looked like. Yeah. And so, I like, you had me from the opening scene with that. I was just like, awesome. Like, yes.
And even there's a little details, like even when they're, everything can be all. A lot of these shows, the people can be in their fancy dresses and stuff like that, can look all fancy and pristine and stuff like that. You can see that they're walking around in this dirt.
They're getting dirty.
In a long dress, and the bottom of the dress, this fancy dress, is all dirty because it's been drug around in the dirt. And it's little things like that,
or even
that
just
were kind of like real.
Like he returns from battle and he still looks all dirty and covered in blood and all that, or even just like
he hasn't taken a shower. He didn't stop somewhere for a shower.
He's eating dinner and like the gambus he's in is disgusting looking, and you're like, like they were really not trying to make you be like, oh, the medieval period was so beautiful. It's like, no, it was horrible. It was freaking horrible. Right. Like, and people died of plagues just all the time. Like they talk about that in this movie. Also, if we're gonna go there, we have to go there. The treatment that Winona Ryder gets as just being a woman is horrible. It's horrible, horrible. Just trying to conceive a son where they're just like, yeah, I didn't have this much trouble with my first wife. Are you not liking it? Because if you don't like it, that means you can't conceive a son.
Well, they're talking about the science in the trial. They're saying yes. If you didn't enjoy a sexual encounter, you can't
get pregnant. And here's
even when she can't conceive earlier on, they're just saying, well, this because you have bad humor.
It's all
you've got
fault.
A bio building up. And it's just old science.
This audibly made me laugh out loud because of the pure audacity of it. Because so she's making her claim that Kylo Ren raped her, right? Mm-hmm. But like she's having a hard time conceiving with Jason Bourne, and then like all of a sudden she's pregnant. And they're just like, did you enjoy it? You said that he was handsome, so you wanted him to rape you. And she's like, no, the fuck I didn't.
Except for, however, he said that he didn't even have intercourse with her at all.
And even if that's true, everybody knows you can't get pregnant from rape. That's just science. I literally laughed out loud. Yeah, and like this crazy. Horribly uncomfortable, like, that was true. Like, that's what they thought back then. What the, like, oh my God. Not laughing like, haha, like it's bad. Like
the audacity.
It's the audacity, and and you feel horrible for her. And so he's going to fight Kylo Ren, But the horrible thing about this is because they're letting God decide.
Yes.
What is this about? What is the loophole here?
Whatever happens is because of God's will. So if her husband wins, they were telling the truth. And if she loses, they were lying.
And what's the penalty for a woman making a false claim against a man?
I can't even remember all the things.
So
there
the
was
penalty
was stripped and beat and then burned at the end.
Yeah,
what was the stuff in the middle?
So there was a lot in the middle. That's horrible. The big thing is she's going to be burned alive.
Yeah.
And when she's trying to make the argument about it, they're just like, this is another thing that made me audibly laugh out loud. Not because it's funny, but the audacity where they're like, oh, well, the charge of rape isn't against a woman. It's a claim against the man's property. And they're just like, what the hell? Like,
which is the way it was.
That's how it was.
Yeah.
What this leads to is a big fight between the two of them at the end.
But an awesome fight.
It is
one of the best. One of the best fights I've probably seen on film.
I have one nitpick with that fight, also, not to be that guy, but I have one little nitpick. But yes, one of the best fights I've ever seen on the film. One of the best medieval. One of the best like anything with a sword. Like it was really, really good. But here's why I think part of the reason, because everything about it was great. But you are really just burnt at this point. You were really just like dragged through the mud because again, this is not comfortable subject matter. The way they shot this was very visceral.
But the tension about who's gonna win. My God.
And here's the problem. Matt Damon's a dick. Like you don't even like him as a character. Like even in his version of the story, he's kind of a dick.
You're just worried about her. You're like, holy cow.
So you're watching it. I think you're supposed to be watching this and be like, I don't know who I want to win. And you're like, no, like if you could both die, that'd be great. I just don't want her to burn.
Right.
Like it's really, you're rooting for Jason Bourne just because you don't want this poor woman to burn alive.
Right.
And they do such a good job with this fight. It is brutal. It is visceral. It is one of the best choreographed fight sequences I've ever seen.
Are we gonna do a spoiler alert and say who won?
Let's do it.
Spoiler alert! If you don't want to know who won this duel, stop listening right now.
Because real talk, watch this movie. It is if this style of movie, this genre is up your alley at all, it is definitely worth watching.
Yeah,
it's exciting, and even as the fight's happening, you don't know who's gonna win.
Nope.
No idea. No idea. And here's what's horrible. Like, as they're getting ready to have the fight, like they're suiting up, she's being tied to the pyre they're gonna burn her on. Yeah. Like she's ready to fry at a moment's notice if her husband dies.
And so they start. They
start jousting.
One thing is back to where this isn't fancy or this isn't anything. They're running around. It's frantic. People are yelling.
It's not
There's
pretty.
these little squire guys that are the helpers. One of them gets killed in the middle of this thing.
It's not elegant.
They're jousting.
It's not romanticized.
They take, 3 or 4 runs with jousts?
Yeah.
With the big wooden lances. And so they're this brutal lance jousting thing that's going on back and forth, and every time they run down, give me another one, they take another run down. They're trying to get it. Pretty soon Jason Bourne's horse gets skewered with one of them, and
which is gonna happen.
Yeah, and so then they're on their feet now, and they got freaking swords and axes, and they're fighting and battling, and then at one point Kylo Ren stabs Jason Bourne in the leg and he starts fucking bleeding out.
Okay, real quick, that's my nitpick.
Yeah.
Like, okay, because like
you think he would have bled all the way
out? In a minute.
I agree with you. I completely agree.
Like a hose.
That was the main artery. He was going to be gone soon.
Even like if he did win.
Yeah.
And then this is what got
he would have died.
Yeah, because then he's just like, I win.
I was saying the same thing.
I was saying
dead. Dude's going to bleed out. So, anyways.
We're not going to get a tourniquet? Like, what's happening here? But, okay.
Through the magic of movies and Hollywood, he doesn't bleed out from this horrible gushing artery wound he gets from Kylo Ren.
It's not a little.
He's able to continue to fight, but this doesn't make him go to his knees, and they think he's won. And then all these people that are invested with their political and everything are saying, kill him. And he comes up, and I think that Jason Bourne turns around with an axe and buries it in his leg.
Because, again, it should be noted from a political standpoint, everybody really, really likes Adam Driver. He's handsome and funny and charming and a hoe.
And he's making them all a lot of money.
And nobody likes Jason Bourne. Everybody aside from burning Winona Ryder, everybody's kind of rooting for
he's a party pooper.
But you're right, he buries the axe in the back of his knee, which again, don't shy away from. Dude, if you got a weak stomach, this is a brutal fight.
And then he winds up fighting and gets on top of him, and he's trying to bury the dagger right into his face, and he's telling him to confess, and that's when Kylo Ren still says that he didn't rape his wife.
And this is where I kind of like it. This is where I kind of love this movie, because Kylo Ren's like, there was no rape. Like, and you can tell he believes there was no rape, and there was clearly a rape. And
he finally gets down on the side, gets down on the side, and he drives the dagger right through his mouth and out the back of his head.
Because he knees the back of his head.
Yes.
And like you hear it scraping his teeth.
And you know what the most kind of hard part for me, as far as but amazing to me, is how he kind of starts even trying to talk still with the dagger through his mouth. He's still like going, go.
So here's how I know. Here's how I know this fight scene was amazing, because like as it's happening, like the sheer brutality in it, I feel as a person who like loves medieval stuff and loves this kind, like I could be sucked into a fight scene, and like so maybe it's not having the same impact to like normal people. And I turned and looked at my two normal friends, and they were doing this. Like they were cringing and like looking away, and like so that's how you can tell this was a very visceral fight.
The movie theater I was in, everybody that was around I could kind of see them and everything. Mm-hmm. And especially the man and the wife and whoever behind me, they were like, oh my God, you could hear they were just totally into it.
You're into it. It's a good fight scene. Like I would put this against any one-on-one fight scene kind of in any medieval movie ever. It's really good.
And so then the amazing thing of the times, and of course it would happen that way, is when it's over, all of a sudden
everybody loves them.
God's will, of course, has been happened. So according God was on their side, he becomes a rock star.
And what happens to Kylo Ren's body?
Oh yeah, no. This guy,
everybody loved
first 10 minutes ago. First, the guy that nobody thought was cool and actually wanted to get killed becomes a rock star. Him as a wife, especially him, but him and his wife, everybody's cheering
on horseback,
hold back the
waving.
Crowds. Everybody thinks they're
as
awesome.
He's bleeding out. By the way,
Kylo Ren gets stripped naked and drugged behind a horse, and then hung upside down in the town square naked.
And the only one sad about it was Batfleck.
Yes,
that's horrible.
And that's in that time. That was the thing. That all
next
of a sudden,
to
that's
like
what
six
happened.
other bodies, like that.
Yeah.
That was a Tuesday. It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't anything weird. So that said, rough subject matter. And in fact, I knew what the movie was about going into it. Didn't know it was going to be this hard. Like after I watched it, I was like, that's going to be rough to talk about on the podcast.
But the thing is, I can say that the storytelling was so good.
Very good.
The take they took on this, the acting, the battle scenes, it is a really good movie.
And anytime there's a lull in the story, anytime it starts to get slow, something happens that like shocks you out of it, whether it be that specific scene or like an epic fight happening. You know what I mean? Like,
or somebody's different point of view where like, holy cow, they saw it that way.
That's radically different.
Yeah.
Like it's enough to where right when you're lulling, you're just like, oh crap, that's crazy.
I mean, one of the scenes for me was when he's banished from court, but he finally comes back and he makes friends.
What he says
makes friends, and it's every single person that initial greeting and things that were said. Every single person saw that differently.
Yeah,
it's that stuff that's just wow.
Which again,
amazing.
It's just like
and true.
That's exactly what happens.
It's true. Yeah.
So, all right, we're talking about this a lot longer than I thought we would.
Yeah.
Great movie. It's really really good. I think it's worth a trip to theaters. If it's this or Venom 2, watch this.
Like I did. I made that choice.
You did.
Yeah.
I really liked it. But the funny thing is, like, I don't know if it's a movie that I'm gonna watch a lot over and over and over again, because
I would watch those fight scenes over.
I would watch the fight scenes over again. But the whole thing, it's rough, man.
It's rough subject matter. It's tough. I mean, it's important.
You should watch it at least once. Yeah. Yes. But great movie. Definitely recommend. You recommend?
I do. Yes, I do. Absolutely.
Any closing thoughts?
I don't know, man. I think we've covered a lot of material here. I think we've done a great job, Captain Mal.
You know, I feel like this is one of those instances where, like, we show up and we're at the world's greatest lair, and I'm like,
we're just doing it.
I don't know if we're gonna do it.
And then we did it.
T. Crawler no-showed.
Yeah.
Does he work here anymore? I don't know what we're gonna talk about.
I don't know.
And then you know what happens?
And then we did it.
What do we do?
And you know what's...
We do it again.
I don't think the folks out there knew. We weren't even planning on doing this.
We were
today.
not. No.
And then Captain Mal goes, "We're gonna let's do it now."
So first of all, let's real quick express how tired we both are. I stayed up to the wee hours of the morning launching Unsheathed Sword Reviews. Woke up at like 5 a.m. to go to work. Had a 12-hour day at work. Went to the gym. Came here. It's pretty late right now. I'm tired. What the hell are you doing?
I was filling a pond.
You were filling that lake outside that you have.
Heavy rocks, filling it, bringing rocks in. I've got a lot of rocks in there. I'm getting closer and closer to being done, but I'm not all the way done. In fact, I'm still quite a ways from being all the way done.
Yeah, you showed it to me.
But I've done a lot of work.
You're doing manual labor every day.
Put in a big fish cave down there for the fish to hide from predators. So, yeah, this will be interesting. Someday, you know what we're going to do someday, folks? When I get this thing done, we're going to take a little tour out that way, and we're going to take a look at this pond.
I am down for this. But the moral of the story, dear viewers, is that we were kind of playing when we were going to shoot this by ear because we have a lot of adulting to do. And it just happened to be I was not going out of town for work. And I was like, yo, can you do it tonight? Not thinking he'd say yes. And he's like, yes. And I'm like, damn it. Energy drinks it is.
Can I be honest as well?
You didn't want to do it either?
When I first got your message,
you almost said no.
I was going to be like, maybe I can just pretend I didn't see it.
There you go.
Honestly.
You were going to leave me on red. You were going to leave me on red.
I felt guilty. And so I said, I consulted with Hailstorm and said, hey, I think I'm going to tell Captain Mal to come over and do this so we can get this thing done. Because we're going to do it because we're troopers, we're professionals, and we get stuff done.
We do.
And that's exactly what we did.
And not for nothing, then you turn the camera on us and we talk for an hour and a half. Whereas there's a long podcast.
What is wrong with us? We can just talk forever about just the craziest things, Captain Mal.
It's almost like you turn the camera on.
Did it.
And we're here for you guys. You turn that off, we're both going to pass out. But we did it again. We did it.
Come on, high five, bro. We did it.
Yeah. I'm oddly proud of us. Money. All right. Hey, guys, you know what? Thank you for joining us on this episode of the world's greatest news and reviews. If you've enjoyed, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications.
Peace!